Welcome to The Claw. I'm Eric Holtzclaw, Chief Strategist at Liger. The Claw is the marketing podcast for C-suite executives. My guest today is Will Adams. He is the president of Tarkenton. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Eric. This is great to be here on the Claw.
The Claw.
Yeah, I was looking at some interesting tidbits today on Ligers.
Oh, were you? So we talked about what we're going to talk about, and he's like totally already, you're like, we're going to go this other direction, which is great. Let's hear about it.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it's your company's name, Liger. What's the most interesting Liger fact that you have?
Well, they are the largest animal. They're very powerful. They're large animals.
They are?
They don't look that way. So like when you see them, they look like they're just really fat.
And they grow extremely fast.
Yes.
Fastest of any big cat. And it's the largest cat in the world.
Wow.
And when a liger is formed, they are incapable of creating a liger baby.
Yes.
This was a marketing podcast?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yes, we have very much, liger is in...
Jack Hanna episode or something.
You're the one who went that direction. What can you say? And so Tarkenton, tell me what is...
Tarkenton is a...
What does Tarkenton do? Because I've been working with you for like 9 months now. I really would like you to explain it. What do you do?
I've been at Tarkenton for 13 years, Eric, and I still can't answer that question confidently or completely, which may or may not be a problem.
Yeah.
Simplest put, we help companies of all stripes, all sizes, all industry get to market quickly.
Yep.
And once they're in market, to scale.
Okay.
So typically working with larger enterprise companies, it's one of the biggest issues is getting to market.
Yeah.
Great ideas and great opportunities are fleeting as soon as they arise in a meeting, or you're reading the news, or you see an opportunity in the market. You take it to a team, the clock is ticking, the market's moving, your competitors are moving. A lot of larger organizations are very siloed, which creates a certain motion that is not necessarily the most efficient. We always talk about kind of the phone game that you used to play in elementary school, where somebody whispered, the liger has spots. And then by the time it gets to the end of the classroom, the 30th student, it's the liger has stripes. And we see that a lot in larger enterprise companies where, let's say it's something, an idea starts over in strategy. So strategy is going to do some research work, and they're going to kind of canvas the market and understand and define the opportunity. Once they're done, they kind of pitch it up over the wall, and then it lands into the next department. But within each one of these departments, there's reporting silos and cultures within the bigger culture.
Yeah.
And by the time, if that really great idea or opportunity gets to the end, it is a very confused version of itself. But the biggest miss is time.
Yeah.
So it could be 12 months, 18 months, 24, 36. By the time that opportunity that presented itself actually comes to market, by that time, competitors have already beat you, or maybe that opportunity has shifted and now it looks different. So we really help those folks streamline it to where, we've used a phrase, I think I've heard you steal it, which is okay, is one throat to choke.
Yeah.
Which is so key. And again, lots of organizations, there's lots of moves. There's reorganizations, there's people moving in and out of different roles. And having that one constant source of truth from beginning to end to see that project or that opportunity through to completion and beyond is something else that we do. And that really kind of dips over into the scale side. Once that opportunity has been developed and it's been released to the wild, you're going to have somebody there that's going to listen to all the buying signals, the service signals, the operations, the technology. And again, having that single source of truth that not only helps, create and shape that opportunity, so we kind of understand the context and all those little pieces that kind of bubble up into institutional knowledge inside a company, that's all retained. And then that flows into making sure that we're there to continue to operate and help that company scale.
Yeah. I mean, as you talk about it too, and I shared this like in my history. So I was a recovering technologist. I ran development shops back in the day. And I worked for a division of a big company.
Right.
We were set up as a skunk works.
Right.
So we were intentionally set up because they had a 600-person development company or development team.
Right.
And they couldn't get anything done.
Yep.
And we were 13 people in Atlanta. And I was the liaison.
Yeah.
So like they put me on a plane every 2 weeks and flew me up to meet with the parent company.
Right.
They hated me. Right. Like I would go in and I would show them what we had done in 2 weeks, and we'd done something that they couldn't do in 6 months.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And they'd nod at me in a very nice way and whatever. And then I would walk out and the phone calls would start. Right.
That's right.
I would get a call. I'd be like, what did you do? I'm like, I showed them what we did. I don't understand. So having that ability to be kind of a nimble Delta team that you're getting in there and like,
that's right.
Anything.
We call that it's change leadership, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at it from the world of politics, for example, you have your incumbent, the one that's been there, that, you know, has the name recognition, what have you. And along with that comes a certain level of, sometimes it can manifest itself into arrogance. Sometimes I'm the market leader. I know best. I don't need to be as hungry or as innovative or, you know, fill in the blank. So a lot of the ideal partner or client that we like and love to work with are the ones that embrace change leadership.
Yeah.
So, you know, recognizing that, you know, the world is always evolving, that again, once that opportunity comes up, instantly you're going to be met with challenges. And unfortunately, a lot of those challenges can happen within the organization. You just mentioned it.
Always do.
Yeah. When you go up and visit, it's, wait, who's this guy? This is, instead of, hey, this is great, let's lean into more of what's happening here. It's viewed as a threat.
But it was great, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like this change agent coming in and doing the thing. And it's something that I've seen. I worked with a company for a period of time that was trying to launch a new product, and they tried to launch it within their existing infrastructure.
Right.
And it's a problem,
Yeah.
right? Like there's so many other priorities in place. There's so many things. And those are often born out of marketing. Marketing, we're the rebels. We're the ones that jump in and be like, hey, I see this thing coming and we really need to modify this and change it.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden the business is like, but we're trying to support the existing business. How do we make this work? So having an organization like yours.
That's always the friction point, is your business development teams, marketing teams are much more focused on today forward. Business development, probably a little bit more forward. Marketing is what's now, but, you know, the seasonality of the business or whatever it may be, versus sometimes your product teams or your ops or finance or whatever. They like that, you know, very defined, rigid. You know, this year's budget is incrementally different than last year's budget.
Every year, every month at this time.
That's right. That's right. So, again, I think it's important to identify the change agents, the change leaders within those organizations, and also understanding that, you know, in any type of organization, it's really important too, as a leader and you know, making the call, is to understand who and where support, opposition, neutrality is coming from, and we kind of break it down into a model where you have you know, your strong support, kind of your indifferent, then you have soft opposition, hard opposition.
And those people are typically pretty quiet.
That's right.
Ones who like wait till after the
That's right.
over.
That's right. To go and try to change the mind of hard opposition, not going to happen, not worth the time or the effort. It's important to know who they are, where they reside within an organization, but to go and invest time to try to change that opinion, not necessary.
Okay.
The key on the opposition side is your soft opposition. You do not want to do anything to the soft opposition that's going to turn them into hard opposition.
Right.
So at best, maybe they just stay where they're at. Maybe they kind of come into this undecided, indifferent state. So much like politics, most of your focus, most of your campaigning, most of your relationship building and relationship nurturing is going to happen on moving the undecided to soft support and the soft support to hard support. And there's a lot more soft support inside organizations that they like you, or they like the things that you're doing, they like the ideas, but there's a hesitancy for whatever reason to be the one inside a meeting or in a conversation that's going to say, well, hey, remember what that team said or that organization had said? I think we should lean back into that, or I think we should bring them into this conversation. How do we get them from thinking it to saying it and going out and advocating on behalf?
Yeah, I mean, because And it's the reason I don't survive in big companies. Like,
Right.
I did the IBM thing, and then everybody thinks I'm unemployable, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm the guy who walks into the big company and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why are you doing it this way? But to be a political animal and make it correctly, like there's so much risk. There's so much risk in the room because you're talking career, right?
That's right.
We've done several projects with clients, and their biggest thing isn't even necessarily that what we're doing is successful. It's that they don't look like an idiot.
For the folks that might be listening in, maybe some of them are leaders inside large organizations. So having the perspective from someone that's been on both sides of the table, how do you navigate that? Understanding that, unfortunately, it's just reality. I don't even say it's unfortunate. It's just the reality. The larger the organization, I think studies have said once you hit like 100 or more, it starts to become more of a political. And I was talking to a colleague yesterday. There's it's pretty obvious why. What is it? Survivor, isn't that like one of the longest running reality shows? And there's
lots of
for obvious reasons, because there's so many connections to all of our daily lives working inside larger organizations where it is all about, alliances. And today you're on my team, but just wait until that next one's gone. Your next kind of, angling and whatnot. So how do you navigate that?
I think that's my role.
Okay.
I really believe that my job is to be the person. I'm the truth speaker,
okay,
right? And I'm okay with that. So I'm the guy who can take the arrows for the client. I think it's the reason the companies work with agencies, and that's why you need an agency that has a backbone.
That's right.
Right? Like we have clients who come to us and they're like, we're working with this agency, and we asked them what we should do, and they were like, I don't know, what do you want to do? And I'm like, that's because they were afraid to lose you as a client, right? Like they just aren't willing to take the risk and be there. So I'll do a discovery meeting with a client, and I push and I ask the hard questions and things like that. And then I tell them, like, you never have to see me again.
Yeah.
Like, you had to spend 6 hours with me. I'm going to ask you the tough question. I'm going to see if you're really like in it or not. And then if you don't like me, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Because I've chosen not to be a Fortune 500 guy. Like, I'm not going to get a gold watch at the end of the day, right? So I can come in and say the things they can't say and be their shield. And I can say things that they have said that others have not heard.
So let me ask you this, translate that into marketing. So a frequent discussion amongst my colleagues is, I think we have marketers at large, since the dawn of time, have instructed us as consumers to not trust marketing. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. So I wrote a book back in 2013, and I went way back and looked at where the origins of marketing come from. And regrettably, they don't come from a great place.
Right.
So it's from propaganda. So like it's basically another word for propaganda.
Sure.
And back in the day, we were uninformed and we didn't have access to information.
Sure.
And so it was easy to manipulate you and tell you that a thing was this. And and it happened.
Right.
You know, like smoking is going to help you lose weight, like all that kind of stuff. As we move into a more informed community and people have access to information and ways to check things out. And that's also why no one goes directly to your stuff to begin with. Like that's why you got to educate in all the rest of the ecosystem. Reviews, all those things are really important because they're verifying what you're saying. Yeah. So, but then for marketing, when there's a belief about your company based on what you've created, which is where your company kind of helps step in, is that can be broken so easily. That's right. Any step across the path. So like marketing's worked so hard to get you to the door, to make you do the thing. That's right. And then all of a sudden the experience from there
everything's marketing,
terrible.
Right? Everything communicates, I think is probably the best way to say that. You know, we were talking before of when you might have a brilliant, marketing strategy, campaigns, you're checking all the boxes, but when that, prospective client then comes in and starts to engage with the company, does that experience live up to all the messaging, all the context building that they've seen throughout, what's the stat that you use? Is it 27 times?
So 20, it's somewhere between 18 to 21 times that I need to see your name and understand that you even exist to be part of my ecosystem. Right. And then it's 6 to 7 to convert you. It's 27. So I've invested 27 times to the point that you've decided to click. Yeah. And then all of a sudden somebody screws the deal up. That's what I tell people. I'm like, They've made 70% of the decision before they pick up the phone.
That's right.
And when they call you, your salesperson does one of two things. They close the deal or they screw it up.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
They didn't really have a lot to do with it to begin with, really.
No, that's...
Education, all that other stuff has happened. They've made the decision. They're buying. I've got a guy who does sales training. He says people hate to be sold, but they love to buy.
This is true.
Love to buy.
This is true.
And it's, if you experienced that, if you've ever walked onto a car dealership and somebody thought you couldn't afford the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I was going to buy my first like really nice car, and I pulled in this like beater of a truck.
Yeah.
And the guys at some unknown dealership would not talk to me. And I'm like, fine, I won't buy this car. I'll go somewhere else.
That's right.
So when we get back, we'll try to get back on track a little bit about it, but like talking about some ideal projects that someone might bring.
Yeah.
What would
that'd be great.
like? And they do often come out of the crazy marketing group.
Sure.
It's like, hey, we need to do this thing. And then IT can't take it on.
Yeah.
They don't know. And it's not their fault. They got other things to do.
Right.
Like, they got to keep the lights on. So
that's right.
how do they use a skunk works like yours to make that happen?
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
So we've been listening to The Claw. I've been talking today with Will Adams. He's the president of Tarkenton. The Claw is the marketing podcast for C-suite executives. And until next time.